Hi folks, Jonah Kaplan here, WCCO CBS News Minnesota. Thank you for tuning in on this really earthquake of a day here in America, because the fault lines now are really reverberating, and that is between the red and blue states, with the Supreme Court now saying that abortion is no longer a federal issue. It immediately goes back to the states. And of course, each state having its own identity, having its own governor, its own state legislature, its own voting bloc, its own demographics, and its own priorities. So this is what we have. If abortion now is left up to the states, all of these states here in yellow, they have trigger laws. You could see Idaho here, Utah, Colorado, the Dakotas. Then we go here to the Sun Belt and the Southeast. They all have trigger laws, meaning they were waiting for this day. Their state legislatures, their governors signed bills, signed laws that said if the Supreme Court were to ever overturn Roe v. Wade, which is the case that granted a constitutional protection to a woman's right to an abortion, they would ban abortion. So these states right here, pay attention how Minnesota is not one of these. Now let's go to the next slide here. And these are states that have codified that no matter what happens at the Supreme Court, there is a law protecting a right to an abortion. And you could see when we talk about red and blue America, it almost looks like a presidential election map. The states here in the West, California, Nevada, Oregon, Washington, Colorado, Illinois, and then all of these states in the Northeast and in New England. So all of these states now, they're going to be offering access to abortion. They're going to be protecting anyone who goes to abortion. Now, let's zoom in here on our area here in the upper Midwest. Minnesota is an island. We have the Dakotas here, both with trigger laws. Nebraska, expected to pass a law soon that would outlaw abortion. Iowa, same thing. And Wisconsin. Wisconsin's an interesting case because they don't have a trigger law. What they had were laws dating back to pre-1973 outlawing the procedure. So those laws, which never went off the books, they're still there. Now it is permissible to prosecute a doctor, a physician, for performing an abortion in Wisconsin. So where does that leave Minnesota? Minnesota, we talk about each state having its own legislature. We talk about each state having its own governor, its own priorities. Each state also has its own constitution and its own Supreme Court. In Minnesota, the Supreme Court here in a 1995 case, reading its state constitution and based on that reading, granting a protection to access to that procedure, access to an abortion. So in Minnesota, yes, still safe and legal, but there still are some laws. Let's zoom in here and take a look at what we know about what's happening here in Minnesota. So I mentioned here the Minnesota Constitution. If a woman wants to have an abortion, they go sign up for one, they go meet at a clinic, they have to have a 24-hour waiting period. They're going to go to the doctor. The doctor's going to give them a series of packets of information. They're going to maybe have a sonogram, all these different things. They have to wait 24 hours. And if they're under 18, there has to be parental notice. Now, these are the general rules. There are some exceptions, especially in case of emergency. But this is what's going to be happening in Minnesota, which means all those other states around here, if they're going to be banning abortion, and Planned Parenthood already reporting they're expecting a 25% increase of out-of-state visitors to Minnesota, this is what's going to be an island. And it's not just going to be exclusive here to the Midwest, but remember, we saw all those other yellow states in the Northeast, out west. You're going to see a lot of people moving. And this is going to be a lot of people also thinking, if we're pregnant, we have to go on vacation. What kind of access to health care? What would be allowed? If my wife, if my mom is pregnant, what happens next? If my sister, my cousin is coming to visit us in Wisconsin, and God forbid, they're going to have some sort of medical emergency, will the doctor be able to save the life of the woman, or will they have to automatically, no matter what, deliver the baby? There's going to be a lot coming in the next several weeks, several months. Again, a seismic shift in American politics, but this is the reality here in Minnesota. It is status quo.